Jeez, just can't take you anywhere, man.
I absolutely have no idea what you're talking about.
Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul E. Cooley, and that other person is Terry Mixon.
The bags under his eyes, that's me.
Bags under his eyes. Well, the bag should be over your head, dude. Really should be over your head. Just
That's
saying.
what she said.
I don't know how to respond to that. Anyway, how the hell are you, man? What have you been up to?
Busy with cats, busy with writing, busy.
Dare I ask about putty situations?
I took Misty in today because I think she's starting to come down with an upper respiratory infection, so I wanted to try to jump out in front of it. That, who knows how that'll work? She's in a crate behind me, so if she makes a croaking noise, that's her meow sounds more like croaking right now. I'm thinking because of nasal, drip going down the throat. Screamer is laying over here in a bed next to me. She's been sick for 2 weeks. I finally let her out of the room because she demanded exit, but zero energy for her to do anything. It's tiring. And kittens. And kittens. And kittens.
I want to say those last two things are so totally self-inflicted.
It's true. It's totally true. Let's see. Castor and Pullock's got their snip surgery done, and I released them from the crate this morning. And so they're hiding somewhere in the other room. I have no idea where. They'll eventually come out. I have no doubt that they will come out in a couple of days once I go in there. They're just all kinds of freaked out because they're in a strange room.
Oh, poor boys.
Poor
boys.
Last night we had the inevitable lost kitten scenario down in the bedroom.
Oh no.
It was time to put the three smallest ones back in the crate in the living room for their nightly whatever, and one of them was asleep somewhere and didn't come out when the can of food opened. So I was like, yep, here we go. Now we just have to sit around and wait for the kitten to wake up. And the wife's like, no, I'll lure it out with all this other stuff. Jingle, 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 jingle. Yeah, no, nothing's happening. I'm like, just don't panic. This happens every single time, every single cat. It's going to come out. About 2 hours later, it stumbles out from under the bed. What's all the freaking noise about?
And why am I so hungry? Where's dinner?
Exactly. Where's my dinner? What is this? Are you trying to starve me?
Yeah, when they get hungry, they'll come out. Trust me.
They are so cute at that age. She's the littlest one has discovered that she can climb up my pants leg now. So she'll come running up to me and grab my pants leg and scurry up me to get love.
Yeah, that was Frankie when we first brought her home. Of course, we brought her home in a snowstorm. And it was just B-Man and I, and we got in there, and I was wearing this really heavy sweater and really heavy jeans, and we got her in there, and we let her out, and she just ran straight at me and jumped up my jeans and climbed me like a mountain, and then got up and climbed up on my shoulder and just went to sleep.
There you go.
And that was, she was only supposed to visit. After that, I had a cat.
That's how it works, my man.
Bad kittens. Very bad kittens.
Leo is now an officially downstairs kitten. He has been loose down there for 2 days now. Nobody's killed him yet, although Dottie has threatened to face hug him and eat his face off. She runs the downstairs. She's a medium-sized cat, but the bigger cats are terrified of her because she has no fear. You cross her, she will eat your face. Nice. And by cross her, I mean look at her funny. She will eat your face. And that is the way it works. And Leo is learning this because he's little. And she had to go ahead and just basically give him the go one time. And now he's like, yeah, I got to steer clear of you because you're crazy.
Well, I'm glad to see the Mixon household is back to its normal shenanigans.
So am I. This is what I live for.
Well, what have you been doing writing wise?
I've got about 12,000 words written on the newest book. I should have written some today, but going to the vet and doing other chores around the house, I said, fuck it. I'm going to take this as an off day. So it's been pretty good. Getting between 3,500 and 5,000 words a day. I'm happy with that progress.
Nice.
First 4 chapters are basically written, so that means I know where all of the point of view characters are starting off, and that gives me the angles that I need to go to get where I want to. I'm going to shake things up in this book, and so I need things moving.
Yeah, gotta drive everything forward somehow, right?
Usually, I have the big space battles toward the end of a book. It's necessary that I have this one front loaded because it's not the big conclusion of the book. It's a stepping stone toward the big conclusion this time.
All right, that makes sense.
I can't say much more without revealing plot elements. So
yeah, I know that feeling. I know that feeling all too well.
Let's just say that in order to uncover all the chaos I need to inflict on the characters in this book, they've got to free some people that are prisoners.
Okay. That makes sense.
I'll wager you could probably, I probably said enough to make a guess there. He's a military officer, cut off from all support. You know there's got to be somebody senior to him around somewhere to cause him grief.
There's going to be somebody who needs to get fragged. Just how that's going to happen. Maybe my ass.
Is fragging him the best thing?
Not necessarily.
Is it, inflicting him on him?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Well, I've been...
and I'll be honest, I don't know quite which direction I'm going to jump yet.
Why would you spoil your fun?
It's so much fun having, I can do all of these horrible, nasty things. Which one am I going to choose?
Dealer's choice, writer's choice, plotter's choice, whatever.
I may choose 2 different sets of painful inflictions with one problem child. It could happen.
More often than not. Well, I'm glad you've been cranking. I've been cranking too since finished Oceania. I got it all recorded. That's out of my hair. This audiobook is with the patrons. Well, I haven't put the audiobook together, but they have all the chapters. But I also started in on Extinction, and I just wrote another 1,000 words before I got on here. That's why I was a couple of minutes late. I was late getting my coffee. So what was it? Friday morning, Extinction was at 12,000 words. It's now over 18. So I've been busy. I've been very busy. It's a good thing.
18,000, that means you're like into the first quarter of the book. So you're starting to get a clue of where things are going at this point.
I spent, I think, Thursday night, I finished one complete subplot. This is so ridiculous to have to explain how I'm writing this book, but I'm going to try. I have to wrap up all these characters that have been in the previous 5 books. Mm-hmm. I have to give them all their little swan song and send them off into however this book ends. Now, I have scientists, I have engineers, I have mercenaries, I have feds, and I have the creatures. So I have like 9 different subplots outside of the main plot to do. So rather than trying to figure out what order I need to write all this shit in, I'm writing the subplots separately. At least
that can be complicated.
Portions I need to. Yes and no. For one character, her first 15,000 words are really about the aftermath of Miskatonic and talk a lot about, what happened in evolution and some other issues that I alluded to at the end of that book. And I need that in place, and that happens almost before any of the other pieces happen. So then I have to interleave the results of book 5 with the main plot point so I can get that going. So I have to insert them into this mess. And then I have the engineering side, which I have to kind of interleave and figure out where that's going to go. And that's just basically to start all the subplots that are going to go for the main plot. Once I start interleaving them, it'll be a lot easier. But for right now, I got to basically get each of them started, so to speak. So I know where each one has its beginning and where it needs to stop before we get onto the main plot. But this book takes place over like a month. So it's not like the other books where they take place in a couple of days at most. I mean, Outbreak takes place in one night. 100,000 words in one night. Yeah, I'm a long-winded motherfucker. Anyway, the Extinction's got so many pieces here. I'm just having to do it a little bit differently. And I figured out all the action points I need to do and all the creatures and things I want to do and see and create. And I have a plan. And I had to spend a lot of hours Thursday night just basically brainstorming, throwing things around to figure out what these other pieces were that I wanted to do. I kind of needed to know them ahead of time because there are certain things I have to plan. I have to put things where I need them to be. I need to figure out a way to get them there. So there's just a lot of little pieces I'm kind of putting together. So I'm writing what I can write right now without knowing everything. And the funny thing is, each time I finish one of these chapters in these subplots, it tells me more about what's actually going to happen when we get to the middle of the book.
Yeah, but I totally get that.
This is a lot of shit to do, and I have to find a way to make it as interesting as possible so that people don't get bored as hell.
Yeah. One of the things that I like doing in writing is like when I wrapped up my writing on the 4th chapter, it's not done yet, but I had part of the cleanup from the previous novel, them looking for an enemy ship that escaped. Right. And when they arrive at one of the places that they might find information, they detect something on their sensors. It's too small to be a ship, but it's definitely artificial. And I left it at that as my cutoff point where I was finishing. I still have absolutely no idea what they found. I'm going to have to figure out what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do that an awful lot. I'll leave this thing there and I'll go, ooh, what could it be? And then my brain just starts running wild trying to figure it out.
There were some folks at the end of Evolution who freaked out about a certain detail because it was off kilter with everything that M2 had ever done or what M2 had ever looked like. And somebody shot me an email and said, was this a mistake? And I went, no. And it wasn't until I started writing Extinction that I realized why I put that in there. So, yeah, or what I meant to use that as, or what my intuition was. I did not know at the time, but I figured it out now. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, you know, in Derelict, I had that pop up all the damn time where I'd leave a detail and then 2 or 3 books later, that detail will come back and actually everybody would just sit there and go, God damn it. Because that's what I was doing. When I wrote it that way, I had no idea what I was going to use that detail for, but I knew I'd need it. I don't know why, but I did.
It's one of the benefits of scattering hooks all over the place. When you need one, you can find it.
Yes, and if you put a hook there that doesn't go anywhere, cut it. It depends.
Leave it there and let them wonder what it was.
Well, depends on whether you're writing a standalone book or not.
True.
If you're writing a serialized series, though, you do, yeah, you don't ever, you leave hooks everywhere. But if you're writing a standalone piece,
you leave hooks everywhere, and if you don't use them, then at some far distant point, if you ever decide to come back to the series, you could go, that thing I left undecided there. We can go back and use that to write an entirely new series right here.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. I'd say don't leave the hooks, but I know that I do. I left them in Derelict when it ended. There's no way I cannot leave some of them in these other books. It's just not possible to get away from that. And there are some I want to stick around because, yes, I want to leave my way back into the series if I want to get there. But I already have one. So I can kind of close things off however I want to. I'll decide how much I want to lock the box on my way out the door. I'll decide that when I get there.
I left aliens that they found in the Empire of Bones series that had a majority of their DNA was based on human DNA, but they didn't look human, and nobody on that planet thought that they were human. So I left that out there with all the information, and people going, in my brain, I'm going, yeah, I could come back and visit this. There's things going on behind the scenes there that could be explored. Had no relevance to what I was telling the story, but it was interesting, and I could always come back and make something brand new out of the whole thing.
The universes we create, I think there are very few exceptions, all offer different stories in the same universe. There's other things happening than what's in your characters. Imagine just a freighter in how crazy things would be for a freighter in the Expanse, even if it wasn't allied with anybody, just some of the crazy shit that would go on that it would see. Those people have stories. The people who are fueling the engines for the starships that are going out there, the folks who mine the fuel, all those people have stories. And regardless of whether or not it's in a different universe or the same universe, whatever universe you've created, you have opportunities to tell other stories in them. You just have to think about what those might be.
I created a second series of aliens that had been long dead that had a way to get to an adjoining piece of space to ours, like an alternate dimension, so to speak. And I endowed one of the characters with the ability to do that, to take themselves from our universe to that universe through what literally amounts to technology so advanced it's magic. It's literally just like magic. They know that it involves technology that's so far in advance of their own that it's not magic, but you might as well just be a Stone Age primitive banging your stone-tipped spear against the wall trying to understand a time machine. Good luck.
Amoeba, Nobel Prize scientists. Stick with your amoeba stuff. Let the adults do the actual work. Yeah.
So I wrote some of the things that happened to that with a mind that I might want to eventually take some people in to explore that alternate universe. I never decided whether I would do something like that, but the option is there. I like options.
Options are good. Options are really good. I left the world of Station 3. That universe is wide open for me to do any crazy thing I want with the technologies I've created there and the characters and the whole way that is. And I want to return to that universe big time because I had so much fun writing that. And there's some stories I do want to write that I think would be just a good time. Just nothing too serious, just, blast, shoot 'em up, good action, a little bit of horror in there and do my thing. But I like the fact that I have that option with that story and that I made the way I made the world allows me to go back in very easily into that. If I want to write a sequel, prequel, whatever, it's there. You don't always have that option, obviously, depending on what you've done with your universe, but it is good to know if ever you feel like you're boxed in on something else. Look at how you would have written it in one of your other verses. Maybe it belongs in one of the other universes. Maybe it just doesn't work with the setting.
That is weirdly close to a thought I was having just before the show that had nothing to do with any of my universes. For whatever reason, I was thinking about Star Wars. Something I saw on Facebook made me think of Star Wars, and I can't remember what it was. Probably some meme. And I went ahead and said, could they go ahead and do the Star Wars Episode 4 original movie, just re-record the whole thing? Imagine if they'd made two movies side by side, one with, the original movie, the rebels fighting the evil empire, whatnot, and then have the loyal, honorable empire fighting the dirty, despicable, murdering rebels, and have everything told, all of the events the exact same, and it's just a perspective shift.
Because you're not a video game nerd, you would not know this, but There was a series called X-Wing, and there was a DLC, or basically another game they put out called TIE Fighter. And you can imagine the switch. So basically, you're a rebel in the X-Wing games, but in TIE Fighter, you were a loyal subject of the Empire. And so you were fighting the rebels, and the propaganda was always coming across, and it was very, very interesting. And I can't remember how that story ended, if that character ended up siding with with the rebels or whatnot. But it does put the foot on the other shoe. And yes, I said that on purpose wrong. Because it basically just flips things completely. And that is actually a really good point. Maybe the good guys everybody likes are not really the good guys. Maybe they're not so good. Maybe the characters you like are the good folks, and the people they work for are not at all, and doing awful, horrible things. You only find those out from characters on the other side. And that would be an interesting story to write.
That would be tough to write.
It'd be tough to write. Well, I mean, basically, like you said, it's two different books, right? They're basically told at the same time, not necessarily have to be, but those characters can meet, those characters can fight, those characters could exchange information. Somebody could bring those characters together to fight a common enemy or whatever else. There's just all sorts of things that you can do there, and possibilities. It raises up a lot of opportunities.
And in Paul's alternate universe, M2 is trying to elevate humanity, and they're fighting him the entire way.
What do you mean alternate universe? Dun, dun, dun!
Is this appropriate time to mention the whole necrobiotic thing that I posted yesterday?
Brett beat you to that by a couple of days. I
saw that the first day, and I was like, oh my God, Paul would love that shit. And then I got busy doing other shit.
I almost linked that and referenced Pondy in it, because I know how much he hates spiders. He would have completely.
I almost did too, but I restrained myself because I don't know. That's a little bit pushing it right there.
Basically, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, these scientists figured out how to make robots using dead spiders, essentially.
Close. They figured out how to manipulate dead spiders to use their bodies as gripping arms.
There we go. That is so incredibly fucked up. Necrobots, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, whoever, everyone involved. My apologies. All sentient life forms
here in Texas. Just think of what we've done now.
Oh my fucking God! I imagine that when Alan Baxter saw this, he was like, "No, not tarantulas."
Think about the gripping power of a tarantula.
Oh my God! Think about the fang power of a tarantula. Yikes! Ugh. No thanks. No thanks. It does bring back some what I've talked about, and also the smarter sci-fi movies. The robots would be more insectile in how they're constructed, because that form is much more capable of climbing walls, getting over obstacles, doing things like that than a typical bipedal or quadrupedal type body configuration. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Is the next step using live spiders to do this?
Let's hope not. Let's fucking hope not.
I am a robotic spider.
No. I'll have to get an EMP. Holy crap. Last thing we need is a whole swarm of those things coming out of nowhere. No, thank you. No. But it does make me wonder what these robots that we send out to do some of these automated tasks are ultimately going to look like, especially the ones that have to survive on other planets in different atmospheres, with different gravities, with different terrains, with different everything, different biome. Just makes you wonder what all that's going to look like in 40 years. I mean, we'll be dead, but 40 years from now, it'll be really interesting to go back and look at that stuff. See what kind of progresses we've made, if any, if we haven't blown ourselves up by then, and how they function compared to now. That's really what I'm interested in following over the next few years in the robotics race, is how not just how the technology under the hood changes, but also the architecture and the continual development of artificial limbs and other things for the instruments. Because I think those kinds of things are going to pave the way for suits that humans can wear. It will also pave the way for massive automated units, autonomous units.
I saw a video of where some non-governmental actor overseas had modified one of the General Dynamics robots to fire an automatic weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And it said in the thing there that other organizations have already done the same.
Yes, as we knew they would.
Sleep well, everyone. I am sure that Skynet won't come around.
Oh, I have so many tales I want to tell about these robotic mutts. So many tales I want to tell.
We'll call them dog soldiers.
No, I wouldn't go that cheap. I wouldn't call them the dogs of war either. That's just... I'd find another name for it.
You know that's what they're going to call them because they're not original enough.
I'm just going to call the book, if I was going to write that book, Collection of Stories, I'd just call it Good Ducky. Have a metal dog biscuit on the front with a enraged robotic Doberman pinscher with these huge fangs just clomping down on it. That'd be a great cover. Fuck your dog soldiers. Good doggy.
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Who rips people's arms off and beats them to death with it? Oh, that's a good boy. Who made a headshot at 1,000 meters? Oh, that's a good boy. Yikes. Fucking yikes. That's the other thing with all this. It just brings out what's the next step from this new research. When's that going to enter the battlefield? When is it going to enter, the medical field? When's it going to enter construction engineering fields? When are these things going to start permeating out as we get more and more of these things going?
Necrobiotics. They go ahead and they take a dead surgeon and reanimate him to keep doing surgery.
Wow. What do they eat?
Who the fuck knows?
Dead patients.
The failures.
The failures. We failed to save another one. All right, put it in the ice box. We'll tear it in the vial. Yeah.
The book could be called we could call the book Necrosis.
Nah. Needs something better. Needs something with more punch. I don't know what that would be. At some point, you and I are going to have to collaborate on something, even if it's only 500 words, just to say we did it.
Yeah.
And Terry's like, yeah, you keep dreaming.
All we do now is come up with bad ideas. And we're like, oh, that would be awful.
No, all you do is come up with bad ideas. I have great ideas. Yours are awful, and yours are purposefully awful.
I should totally make a poll on Facebook to ask people if they agree with that or not. I'm pretty sure I can, flavor it so that I'll get all the votes.
Yeah, that's about what I have.
People, here's the question. Paul said this. Is Terry right or is Paul wrong?
Communism, threat or menace?
J.R. Handley was all outraged because I put one of his opinions on Facebook one time, and the only two poll answers was that, is Terry right or is JR wrong?
Sometimes it's awesome to be the admin. Ultimate power, zero consequences.
And his outrage was so cute.
It's like he thought anybody gave a shit. It was so cute.
Oh, he's outraged. Isn't that sweet?
Good doggy. Oh, oh God.
Luckily,
Okay.
I restrained myself most of the time, so I've only done that once. It was just so outrageously funny, though. He never saw it coming. It was great.
Oh, you're such a mean man, Terry Mixon. You are a very mean man. Oh God. Gee, thanks for that. I'm crying over here. I can see you doing this. I can see his reaction. I could, yeah.
It could not have worked out better at all. His outrage was just so funny.
So I have a question. We got this new telescope, right? This new big badass telescope.
The James Webb, yeah.
Yeah. When is it going to focus in on Pluto so we can watch them drinking their ice drinks?
Well, the government says we can't do that because they've now banned all close-up pictures of Pluto for reasons unknown.
Oh no, the reasons are well known. We got too close last time. Human beings are not allowed to bust the tower.
Or menace.
Threat or menace. Yeah, human beings, threat or menace. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'd be kicked out of every self-respecting galaxy there was. The Milky Way is the only one that would take us. That's because Milky Way is not looked down upon, or not looked upon kindly by the classier.
The other intergalactic travelers lock their doors when they go through the Milky Way.
And can you blame them? Can you blame them?
They program their GPS to make sure that they don't, they curve around the Milky Way.
Yeah, every AI is like, oh, we have to go through there, rerouting. Well, it's going to add an extra 20 light years, but it's worth it. You are still on the best route.
You are still on the best route. I think there's a story in there somewhere too.
Actually, yeah, I think there is. I was thinking about that as I was driving downtown, I guess Wednesday. I got on the Hardy Toll Road, and it was like, save 7 minutes by getting onto the North Freeway. And I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm sticking on the Hardy. I know what happens on the North Freeway. And about 5 minutes later, it said accident, North Freeway at such and such. You were still on the best route. Like, well, why did you tell me to get off beforehand? Well, the accident hadn't happened yet, but I knew it would. Read my fucking mind.
Paul, the human GPS.
No. Human ways. This is basically like I-45 in the afternoon. Yeah, what are the chances there's not going to be a wreck between Conroe and 610?
Just wait till we start introducing automated cars. Self-driving cars.
No.
I heard the most amazing story that has to do with Las Vegas just the other day. That the Boring Company, Elon Musk's company, has built a tunnel underneath the strip that connects all the major hotels and the Civic Center and the airport. And then in about 3 or 4 years, it's going to go into operation, and it's going to transport something like 40,000 people a day underground using self-driving Teslas.
And
that, do I need to say any more? I'm waiting for you to go, oh, what could possibly go wrong?
I already know what has gone wrong because they opened part of this thing and it's a constant traffic jam. It doesn't go very far. And then on top of it, if you don't use electric vehicles, those people will die inside the tunnel from carbon monoxide poisoning. So it looks to me like a very, very expensive excuse to get a tax credit is what it looks like to me. And I don't
If it ever goes into operation and uses Teslas, maybe it'll be all right.
I don't think that's ever going to get solved. I think it's an engineering nightmare. The way they've constructed it is going to be way too expensive for what it saves. That's just me.
We shall see. I have no idea. I didn't even know that it was something that was being worked on until just recently.
Oh yeah, this has been going on for a long time. This is the same company that wants to build essentially a tunnel that reaches from San Francisco to LA.
I think they gave up on that.
The trillions of dollars that would cost is just absolutely redonkulous. Plus, you're building in an earthquake zone. Are you a fucking moron? Anyway, all that notwithstanding, yes, I appreciate the idea and what they're trying to do. However, it's just more Elon Musk idiocy bullshit to get in the news, as far as I'm concerned. They would be better off removing these self-driving cars and just put a train. It'll go faster. It'll get everybody where they want to go, and you can take 90 people at a time, and you have fewer things to break. Just me.
You can make it like in a train loop, you know.
It already is. I mean, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. You might as well just call it a fucking subway and be done with it. Why would you even need a car? I don't understand. Anyway, that's me.
I'm waiting to get into the self-driving car and it to lose track of where you're going and just continually go in a circle until it runs out of battery power.
See, you know, the thing is, it's like all these people keep saying, well, the self-driving car is getting closer. No, it's really not, because you can do whatever you want there, but human beings are amazingly stupid creatures, and we will find a way to trick any computer or throw a problem at it or do something that no one ever saw coming. And whether or not that quote unquote self-driving car is able to take the correct course of action, which may be wrecking or slamming into a party of four pedestrians that happen to be on the side of the road, how do you make that decision? Which is the best route?
This tunnel is not going to have people on the side of the road.
No. I was just talking.
I would think that you would exit out of the tunnel.
I was no longer. I'd left the boring company behind. I was just talking about self-driving cars in general. The software is not where it needs to be, no matter what any of these companies say.
There's a picture I saw that someone had parked a self-driving car out in the middle of somewhere and then made lines all the way around it like it was a no crossing line in salt, just poured salt all the way around it and said, you can trap one if you can get the salt circle around it. I don't know if that's true, but it's funny.
Well, technically, if it was designed, if the AI wasn't very bright and couldn't tell the difference between a line and a person, then yeah, you could definitely get it trapped in a circle. God, how embarrassing would that be? Very embarrassing. Anyway, yeah, technology is just not where it needs to be. They're going to continue to try and talk it up, but it's going to be dangerous for a long time. Because as long as there are other humans on the road who are not using autonomous vehicles, it's going to be a problem. My 2 cents.
I need to have, the autonomous vehicles, the people that go to that need to have automated weapon systems in them to protect themselves from the, drivers out there. Non-computer control car approaching.
So the only people that are actually driving cars themselves are the robbers, burglars, cops, robbers, basically good guys, bad guys, so to speak. They're the only ones that have non-automated vehicles.
Yep, that's it.
Wow. That's a good way to bring back the old West. You got the Pinkertons, you got the guys trying to, jumping from car to car, robbing everybody in their autonomous vehicles. Because like in Minority Report, they swiveled down and they all basically followed the same track. There was no change in any car going faster than the other. So technically, if you could stand the wind resistance, you could jump from car to car to car to car to car without a problem. I don't know why I think these things, but that would make for some very interesting gunfights if that's the way things were going. It'd be pretty funny, actually. I don't know what book I'd put that in, but it sounds like a good time.
There was a scene in one of David Weber's books where we were talking about manipulating things earlier in a way in these stories, where he had someone that was a very bad person in one of these books. He was obviously one of the opponents of the main characters. And they're on a planet which had overthrown some very despotic rulers and were trying to get themselves back on the straight and narrow. And basically a drunk driver careens out of nowhere and slams into the armored limo of the bad guy, killing everybody. And the heroes are sitting there going, it was an accident, but if we say it was an accident, no one is going to believe us.
Phyllis Diller wrote, of all people, wrote a short story that was in Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine. This is back in its early 90s. And it was about a hitman who was just starting out as a hitman, got this contract, took it. And right before he was about to shoot the mark, somebody else shot the mark. So he's like, what the fuck do I do? So he collected the contract. So he went on another contract. That one, before he could kill the guy chokes on a steak and dies. So he goes and collects money for the contract. And he gets another contract, and it's sort of like one of those big ones. It's like for a president or something to take him out. And I can't remember how that one dies. But basically, the guy goes, picks up his contract, and retires. It's just like, that's it.
Okay, yeah, we can't chance of this anymore. Something else is going to happen.
The sooner or later, the luck's going to run out. It was pretty funny, though. I remember reading that and just cackling because it was a good little story. But that's the kind of coincidences you're talking about, where it's like, I don't know why the anvil fell on him, but I'm happy it did.
It made the heroes' lives in that very much more complicated, though.
Oh, of course.
Because the general populace didn't believe it was an accident. That stirred up all kinds of problems. And the fact that it was really an accident and no one was involved in any shenanigans was actually quietly hilarious the entire time that was running.
Well, everybody's trying to manufacture evidence to cover up a crime that didn't actually happen.
They didn't try to cover it up. They ended up saying what had happened. They just knew that no one would believe them.
I was talking about the other side.
They would believe, the general populace was going to believe that the new rulers had rubbed out the inconvenient one. And that's pretty much the way it rolled.
That seems like a bad time. I could think of better things to do.
But it was a very unique way to go ahead and throw a curveball that as a reader, I just didn't see coming. I mean, who could? It had already been set up so that this guy was going to be the foil for these people the entire time. And then a random accident blows him out of the water and the entire plot just staggers forward from there.
Doesn't that mean you got to create a new foil, or is it the situation the foil at that point?
In that case, it was the situation became the foil.
Okay. I wonder about that, about switching. I assume this happened relatively early in the book.
Yeah, it was pretty early in that book.
Okay. So basically they set up the expectation and then walloped it in the head and gave you a new one.
Exactly.
Okay, that'll work. I worry about how that works with reader expectations sometimes, but I guess if the blurb on the back is talking about this other thing, then the person at the beginning that was going to be is just the body you need to lug around the rest of the book as the albatross that causes all the other issues. Did any of what I just said make sense?
Yeah, it made sense.
Okay. You just looked at me weird.
It made sense. I'm still sitting here thinking about the whole plot line. I got my own brain running, going, how could I use something like that in the book I'm writing? How could I do that? Oh, I'm not sure that I want to try.
Well, I think, it may not be right for the book that you're writing right now, but it certainly would be for one in the future. I certainly like the idea of, you set up a, hard ass mining boss or something at the very beginning. He's always clashing with one employee, and then that mining boss dies under mysterious circumstances, which have nothing to do with the mining employee, but that's the person everybody's pointing at or suspects. And therefore it changes all the relationships. And therefore the mining engineer has to somewhat get involved in trying to solve the murder that they did not commit. But then you make it that it's not about the murder at all. It's about something else entirely, and drag them down into that. I wonder about plots like that.
That's actually moderately close to what I already have in mind.
But how soon do you have to do that switch? Do you think you got to do it in the first, fifth or sixth of the book? Do you have to kind of like get it out early?
That's one of the reasons that this book I need to front load the military conflict. Because I've got to then introduce the stick in the mud and then do something horrible to it. So I'm thinking the stick in the mud is going to die maybe halfway.
Okay.
We'll see if it plays out that way, but that's where I'm currently thinking would work. You know, it would be even more interesting if it got to about the 2/3 mark and then he dies. And then the thing goes, okay, well, I know I didn't kill him. Who the hell is left?
I guess it all depends on the plot. Getting it out early, getting it that out of the way early means you don't waste everybody's time with a character that they're never going to see again.
Now, hang on now. I want to make a difference of opinion there. I think that if you drag this out until like the 2/3 mark in a story and then change up things, you're not wasting the reader's time. If you're doing it adroitly enough, it's not a waste.
Okay. All right. Let me be more specific, more precise. If that murder or whatever is not the crux of the book, it needs to take place earlier. Or rather, is the crux of the book. It needs to take place earlier.
The thing would be, is that murder would not be for the reasons that one initially thought it was. It's part of something deeper.
Right. Which again, we're talking about two different plots, but I think we're kind of saying the same way, same thing in a way. If you've got a conspiracy going behind the scenes, then the big bad, who seems like the big bad person who's in your way, if they die, that just basically means, okay, fine. Either the conspiracy killed them or they were killed because of the conspiracy. Right. So that at that point, yeah, I agree. The thing should be, you can put it as late in the book as you want.
If that person is the hero's foil for at least part of the book, and his death then, reflects badly on the hero because it makes it look like the hero got rid of an inconvenience, that's going to be problematic for the hero. And that's going to be fun, trying to have the hero be a little bit more motivated in digging out what exactly happened and clearing his name.
Right. And again, if that's the most of the story is going to be about clearing the name, you got to have the death a lot earlier.
I don't know. It depends. Since I'm writing a series, I may not have to uncover the entirety of what is behind that other character's death. I can go ahead and have it revealed at the end of the book that there's something much more serious than they imagined going on that's going to have implications going forward.
You're so contrary. I bet you shit sideways.
I do. It's real tough to flush one of those sideways turds too.
I don't know how you sit on the toilet.
It just sits in the middle and it just like sags in the middle, but it doesn't go anywhere.
So when you blast ass, do you cover the walls too? I mean, I'm just asking.
There's a reason my bathroom is brown.
Okay, just checking. There are certain points in the book where you have to decide to fish or cut bait on some of those subplots.
Yep.
And for Discovery writers who are bozos and don't plot, you bad people, I'm one of you, quite a bit of the time. We can rack up a whole shitload of subplots that are useless and really just do not go anywhere. We're not talking about hooks. We're talking about subplots.
I forget what movie it was that I watched recently that get to the end of the movie and I'm like, there was a character. He was doing something. Where did he go? Nothing ever happened with him. I think that's still out there. That whole plot line is still floating out there in the movie. It never got resolved. But I didn't realize it until after the movie was over. I was like, what happened to that guy?
Wonder if the director's cut will answer that question.
There's no telling, but it wasn't a major character or a major plot, but there was something going on with a character, and I expected it to be answered. I think it was I think it was in Thor: Love and Thunder, and I can't remember now what it was. But by the end of it, you're like, that didn't get answered. I wonder what that was all about.
Well, anything with Marvel or DC, you kind of have to like go, all right, well, we'll probably see that later. I have no idea what the hell that was all about. It's just in here because they're saying, hey, for those of you who read graphic novel 135, issue 12, January 20, whatever, this one panel, that calls back to that one panel. Oh, you're so excited because you know what they're going to do next. Oh, my God. Ugh. I can see them doing that.
They might.
I can completely see them doing that. I don't know, man. I don't even know what I'm going to do after I finish Extinction. I have no fucking clue what I'm writing next.
And that is a challenge when you've got multiple series. I know what I'd like to do, but I need to keep writing on this series. I've got to build up some padding before I can write the next Empire book.
Well, I don't really have another series to write for. Black is going to be done. The Derelict Saga is done. Although I've already outlined the next leg of those characters' journey for Soul and Beyond. I've got Quantum Personality Disorder up on blocks. I've got Signal Decay still up on blocks. And now I've got the first Tony Downs book nearly outlined. So I don't know what to write next after I get done with Extinction or while I'm writing Extinction, because I need to get another book done that I can actually publish like this year, if possible, so I can actually make money on it. But I don't know.
Money is good.
I don't know what that's going to be, Terry. I don't know what that's going to be.
No one can tell you but you.
I know, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm enjoying the hell out of writing Extinction, though. I think maybe part of it is I'm just done worrying about this, that, and the other. I'm figuring out as it goes, and I have most of the answers I need now. It took, 7-8 years, but I've got most of the answers I need. I still don't know how it ends yet. We'll see. We shall see.
I am supporting one of the Lit RPG authors that I've read books of in the past. He's writing a serialized novel, and I started reading it on one of the free sites, Royal Road somewhere, I can't remember where. And I discovered that he had a Patreon that publishes chapters early. And I looked at that and I go, do I really want to know how this book ends? Because if you support him at the $10 level, you get 50 chapters ahead of where the free release is.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, yes, I kind of do want to know. But now I'm caught in the hook there because I want to keep knowing. And if I stop, it'll be like 4 months before the free story catches up with what I've now read. Obviously, it was a trap, and I fell headlong into it.
This is why so many of my listeners, I know you bastards are out there, they don't start the book until they know it's nearly done or it's finished. They won't start listening to the episodes until then. It's like, why am I bothering giving you guys, telling y'all what's up every week when y'all don't listen to this until the book's done, which is 30 weeks after I started it. And all the information I was trying to give you or telling you about my life or interesting things that happened is now almost half a year out of date.
Let me tell you how this works. They start listening to this episode. You go, hey, listeners, let me tell you about blah, 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 blah. Fast forward. Okay, that's what they do. Blah, 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 blah.
That's why I keep my blah, blah, blah to 90 seconds or less.
That's not you. That's what they're saying. That's what the listener is saying.
Oh,
blah,
yeah,
blah,
probably,
blah, blah.
Probably.
And hitting the fast forward button.
Probably. Rotten bastards. Anyway, so yeah, you want to binge, but if you binge, you're going to have to wait and wait and wait, then wait.
I decided I'm going to just keep supporting him for a while because I'm entertained. He's dropping 5 chapters a week at this point.
Wow.
And so it's pretty sprightly. And so I can count on Monday through Friday getting a new chapter. And my God, this is like halfway into book 2. And you're like, Man, it's going pretty extreme already. I wonder how high you can go here. This is a way overpowered character. How much more overpowered character can it get?
Uh-oh. That usually means a Samson moment is coming.
I hope not, because he's found out that his mother is actually the Winter Queen of the Fae, and she's after him. So he's way outgunned. If he loses all of his power, the bit that he's gained, he's toast.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad you're giving money to another independent artist out there who's doing things that's kind of cool.
I think it's good supporting people that are doing things that you like.
I agree. I agree completely. I don't know what we're going to do with you, Terry.
Tolerate me till the next time around?
I don't know. My tolerance skipped pretty low for the likes of you.
Just wait till you have to live in the same hotel room with me for a week.
Oh, Lordy. I may never survive.
My eyes! My eyes!
One of the female characters in Oceania looks at the other female character and says, so don't be surprised if you see them naked. And you will. Oh, God, you always will. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, that. Silly man, you. I did something kind of cool.
What's that?
I read this article about how ballpoint pens have ruined handwriting.
I'll buy that.
So I went to Office Despot and to get some mailing supplies because I had to mail out a whole bunch of copies of the Black second edition, which you can get if you want them signed personalized. You can go to payhip.com/paulycooley and grab one. Ding, ding, ding. So I needed a new pen to sign with. And because my other one ran out. And so I was over there looking at pens and I saw this cheap ass fountain pen, cartridge fed fountain pen. I was like, fuck it. So I bought it. I took it home and I practiced with it for a little while and found out that I could actually read my handwriting. Who knew? So I used that to sign all the books and write all the stuff. And I don't know. I can't remember who asked for this, but somebody asked me if I would sign it to their son, who apparently loves my books, and draw a picture of the creature, a crude creature of crude picture of what M2 would look like. So I practiced that a couple times before I put it in the book. Felt like a little kid. It was pretty funny. But I got to ship all that stuff out and it was wonderful. But just switching to a fountain pen was just such an odd experience because you had to relearn how to move the nib and when you could get a flat line versus a thick line and everything else. You just have so much more control over the how much ink comes out and the trajectory of it. Whereas ballpoint pen is just splat. Even the fine ones, who just don't have that kind of pressure control. It was just weird because I used to like.
So did you use a little sand to dry it up?
No, I did not. It was very, very quick drying. It dried almost immediately.
That was the way that it used to be. You'd write it out and then you'd put a thin layer of sand on it to soak up any of the excess ink before you went on about your business. There's your history lesson, folks.
Yeah.
Of course, that might have been, going back, not even fountain pen. That might be the quill we're talking about. When they were doing
probably the quill.
It was. I remember seeing it on the History Channel, so it's probably before my time.
Yeah, modern fountain pens, at least the cartridge ones, they actually dry pretty fast. Dry pretty damn fast. It just reminded me though of how much contact we kind of lost with the written word when you actually have to literally write it as opposed to type it. My problem with handwriting was always that my mind would get 3 sentences ahead of where I was with my when I was writing with longhand. And therefore, half the time I'd muddle up the words or write the wrong thing because my brain was already, 7 or 8 words ahead. And it was very frustrating for me because my hand could never keep up.
I keep seeing an advertisement on Facebook that basically goes along the lines of, not satisfied with your signature, buy this program and it'll make your signature look so much better. I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah, I also came up with a new signature, so I can sign something now that looks somewhat like an autograph. So I got that solved too. You'd think after so many years of doing this, I'd have all that down, but I just do not. I just do.
I'm old enough to have learned cursive when I was growing up and going to school, and my handwriting was crappy even then.
Exactly. So
it's only gotten worse.
Exactly. It's only gotten worse. So I am actually kind of writing in a journal some stuff and keeping notes in there about the story of things. So I'm doing that with a fountain pen. It's just weird. It's odd. I kind of like it and I kind of hate it. I haven't decided, but I think I'm going to keep doing it.
It makes you wonder how much a better fountain pen would be than a crappy.
Yeah, but I'm going to make use of this to now till I can prove to myself that it's something that I want to keep doing. Otherwise, there's no point in buying something expensive. I'll just make do with this little hunk of shit until I get frustrated and need something better. Besides, it's not like I'm signing books every day. So not that big of a deal. We'll see. I just wanted to bring that up because that article I read was really interesting about how ballpoint pens destroyed everything. It was fascinating. So basically, we went disposable on all this stuff, and so you had to get larger printing so you could actually read it because it couldn't do fine enough. And so everybody got used to making big letters, which would not work with cursive. So it kept getting more and more muddied, and then they tried to introduce fine points, but nobody wanted them because they ripped the paper, because nobody had a feel for pressure, and yada yada. So it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And pencils went the same way. With the retractable lead, you don't have the same control over it. And they're convenient, but
I use a fine point ballpoint pen when I'm writing, and it's still pretty wide. I can only imagine how wide the normal stuff is.
Jesus, is ridiculous. So I just found it fascinating because we're Gen Xers. We're probably the last real generation that had nothing but pens and pencils and all of that garbage. So we were probably the last ones to use all that.
If you don't know the joy of going up to the front of the classroom so that you can sharpen your number 2 pencil with the mechanical sharpener, then you're young.
Yeah, during a bubble test, during a Scantron test.
While everyone's eyes are on you.
Going, you're disturbing our concentration because you broke your pencil.
Then you go ahead and you grind it slower.
Yeah. Or you get the grinder where it was halfway broken because somebody put a fucking crayon in there. So it's always been fouled up and you have to, it makes this horrible sound. And you're like, only 7 or 8. You practically have to stand on this thing to get it to turn.
I remember the first time they brought in one of the electric sharpeners, and it felt like it ate half the damn pencil before it got the thing sharp.
Yeah, and it made a noise that made it sound like somebody was actually feeding a body into it. It sounded like a wood chipper. It
was like a little wood chipper.
Don't put your pinky in there. Well, I wasn't planning on until you told me I shouldn't.
That's where you should grind your pencil and then you go to the teacher. Yeah, that'll get your ass sent to the office right there.
Oh my God, that would have been awesome. If only I'd been been more of an asshole as a kid, that would have been just fantastic. Holy shit. Yeah, they're
I had a little plastic thing in your pocket that's got a tube coming out of it, so you can spray a little red ink everywhere.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, your ass would be going right to the office. Where the vice principal would have that paddle with the holes drilled through it so that it could beat your ass with.
Oh no, that never happened.
Oh yes, it did.
Just like you never found the vice principal outside with disposable Bic razors, rubbing them on the concrete to make sure they were nice and dull if you didn't come clean shaven to class.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That kind of thing gets around, Rumors like that get around.
It wasn't a rumor. Fortunately, that asshole was gone by the time I got to high school, but my sister told me all about it. One of her friends was Hat was forced to shave his cheeks with that. Did not go well. Yeah, little things like that. These generations just ain't never going to know the pleasure of it. Just ain't never going to
Kids
know.
these days.
With their iPhones, I remember Atari 2600s, damn it.
I remember that the vice principal we were talking about, I got my share of trouble. Only really got a beaten once out of that guy. And it's because I got into a fight with someone in science class with the teacher there, the whole 9 yards. And basically, the other kid was an asshole. And I said something just exceptionally smart ass to him and got him to charge me in the middle of class and slapped him in a headlock and choked him into submission. And the vice principal said, "I'm going to have to beat you for this, but I want you to know that was awesome." I heard that was awesome. He didn't say it in quite those words, but that's the gist of it. I'm going to do this, but I want you to know that was well done.
Oh, I'm sure you never experienced anything like that in the military either.
Well, I didn't get any spankings in the military, no.
No, but dressing down is probably similar.
Oh yeah, there's been a few. Yeah.
Don't let me ever catch you doing that again. That was awesome. It's usually how that works. I don't know, Terry. You're just a whole bunch of fern trouble. That's all you is.
Feel furry.
You're looking furry. Looking very furry. I don't know. Well, what else do you know?
I think we should make this a short episode.
Yeah, I think we're probably on that road because I have writing to do. I have phone calls to make. You probably have writing to do, kittens to tend, or whatever other madness you normally do. What is that? It's upside down. I can't read that.
This is just the advertisement, but it's the e-reader that I have.
Ah, okay.
I've got a book to read. Let's see. Does this thing have a cover? Where's my cover? Where's my cover for the book that I'm reading? Cover?
And why don't you know what the cover is?
Because I just picked it up yesterday. Of course, it went right straight back to there because I touched it. It's the one called Dragon's Gate is what I'm reading.
Ah, okay.
Can I focus?
Yeah, I got it.
There we go. Now it focuses. So something from Lindsay Baracker. It was on a countdown deal, and I was like, that looks interesting. I think I'm going to read that.
Well, okay then. That sounds good. Well, if you have a question about this or a comment about this episode, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can find me at Mastodon at Paul E. Cooley at Mastodon.social. You can find us on Facebook at the listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry wrangles all the insanity. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast to see our ugly mugs. We have to thank our wonderful host, Pod Host, who makes all 14 bazillion episodes of the Dead Robot Society available for your ear holes. And if you want to support the podcast, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to mostly unexpurgated episodes, live shows, and other nonsense. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Tony L. Joy, Andrew Smallwood, Veronica Jaguar, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, and Isabel Cushy. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible.
Wouldn't be possible without you.
We got one more thing we got to do, which is, well, Terry and I admit that we're our caffeine junkies, and we get our coffee exclusively from Corpse Coffee. Visit corpsecoffee.com. Check out their array of coffees, boutique teas. Check out their wonderful webcomic and tell them DRS sent you. Visit corpsecoffee.com and get the dead in your cup. And with that,
you use necrobiotics to go ahead and hold the beans while, they're roasting.
I'm going to have to talk to Dave and see if we can get a necrobiotic coffee grinder.
Mm.
Can you imagine what that would look like? How terrifying that would be?
All these little legs, you just drop beans in it and they just all grab them.
Oh my god! Oh, oh, god damn! Oh, that just set something off inside my head. Oh, that's just nasty. Oh, it looked like
Okay,
this.
as soon as we're done with this, make note of this because you need to have something like this in one of your future books. If it squeezes you out that bad, you need to
Oh,
go ahead and have something like
it
that.
would just look like a bunch of spiders just going crazy.
Exactly.
Oh, and now you got me thinking about spider juice. I'm gonna make a spider smoothie. Ah, yeah.
That's kind of gross.
Okay, with that in mind,
Thanks for ending this show on that note.
All right, folks. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Yeah, if you could possibly sleep tonight.